Hey guys, we're here with Charlie. It's been a while since we've done a podcast. I committed to do one a month and it's been almost 2 months. My bad.
Okay.
We've been trying to set this up for, man, how long?
Months.
Yeah. Yeah. We were going to do one on Charlie's origin story and then he went on a Idaho bear hunt. We were going to do one on that. And then he just got back from Hawaii. And so finally we're doing it. We were talking about what this morning we called before the podcast and we were trying to decide what we were going to, what was the subject of this one. And we felt like Hawaii was the most relevant, right? Just because you have the excitement of just coming back from that awesome trip. I've been there, the Big Island. It's amazing. It's super fun.
It was epic, man.
I'm excited to hear about it because I haven't heard a thing. I've seen a few pictures. I followed you on social media, and I haven't heard a thing about it. So I'm excited to hear how it was. So
I think it's great for our folks too, is that we just had that Hawaii newsletter went out, I think yesterday or the day before, and there's a lot of interest. The Hawaii trip and discussion on what we offer there is probably, uh, it's what we need to go over. It's more relevant for now and get people information.
awesome. Well, why'd you choose the Big Island?
Dude, and I think a lot of people will relate to the situation I was in. So I'll back up 5 years ago, wife and I get married. Our honeymoon was Hawaii. 5 years ago, COVID hits. So, February, March, things are spinning up and things are moving really fast. We were getting married in May. We're going to hit the islands, immediately after. It's going to be our honeymoon. Well, wedding venue, the county there kind of shut down. Everything was shutting down. Hawaii shut down. We didn't end up getting married until August. Hawaii was still out of play. We never went on the honeymoon. So here it's, 5 years later, and we decide, hey, it's the time. We're going to go for our 5-year anniversary. We're going to end up in the islands. We're going to do our honeymoon, our anniversary, make it one. And hey, we also have a number of hunting options and fishing options in the islands. So my wife, being the rock star that she is, she's like, do you want to do a hunt? And I'm like, I mean, does a one-legged duck swim in a circle? Yeah, I want to do a hunt. So
Is this a
I
trick?
yeah. So but as I was saying, people will probably relate, I didn't, it can't be a hunt that ties up the whole trip. And fortunately, what we have in Hawaii is, a lot of 1 and 2 day options for hunts that are all high success. So for this one, I'm like, cool. On top of the hunting, we had just worked in some fishing options with one of our guides that we work with heavily on the hunting side of the house. Also, is a charter captain. So he's like, hey, you're here. Let's go fish. So my wife was all about that. She's not big into hunting, but she's like, yeah, I'll go fish. So, we made 2 days of it. And that's kind of how it started. I wasn't seeking out the islands to go hunt, though we have a lot of folks we work with that do. There's some unique, opportunities that people desire to take part in. But for me, it was, hey, I'm there. I'm going to be, it's a vacation. It's a very special trip. I'm going to be there long enough, though. Let me fit in something right in the middle. And so that's what we did. The islands we wanted to see happened. We did Oahu, the Big Island, and then Maui. And, we offered trips on the Big Island of Maui. So it was like, okay, well, which one do I want to do time wise? A 1 day ram hunt on the Big Island is what worked. And we backed that up the next day with a little offshore Marlin trip.
Nice.
Yeah,
I've never been to Maui. I've heard it's beautiful.
dude. And Katie and I mean, we're in love with that place after this trip. We've been to some of the Caribbean stuff, being in Florida. The Caribbean's kind of the go-to if you're going to hit tropical stuff. And it was great. It's been great, but it did leave a little bit to be desired for me anyway. And Katie agreed. We got to the islands. We're like, it's probably a little overhyped. People talk about Hawaii and it's this dream destination, but it's, we're going to get there and it's going to be really nice around the resorts, but how's the rest of it going to be? Cory, and you've been there. I mean, the whole trip, Oahu, Honolulu, it's busy.
Yeah.
It's a typical big city.
It's a city. It's kind of like Vegas.
Yeah. We wanted to see Pearl Harbor. So Honolulu was it. We took part in that. It was a very special day or two, but that's what we wanted to commit to Oahu for. There's beautiful stuff in Oahu. Don't get me wrong. I have visited. We were just Honolulu. Big Island and Maui, there is nothing overhyped that we saw. It was all phenomenal, all gorgeous. The people were great. Maui specifically, we did We left, we actually that was a shorter portion. We did more time on the Big Island. On Maui, we did 3 days, I think, and the middle day, we were gonna snorkel, and then the 3rd day, we're like, "Okay, we're kinda winding the trip down, we're just gonna leave it open to do maybe we come across something we wanna do." We had so much fun snorkeling that we booked the next day and went back and snorkeled the exact same water and had a blast. It's
It's
just yeah, and we didn't get to see we only saw the north what would be, I guess, the northwest corner.
mhm.
That northern portion of the island is really where we were. We didn't get to see the rest, which is, from what I hear, even more majestic. Yeah, dude, it was Big Island of Maui. We're going back. We're going back next spring, I think.
One thing about the Big Island that surprised me when we were landing, it felt like we were landing in Idaho.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
It's so weird. It's like I left Idaho and I'm landing in Idaho, but
Yeah,
I'm in Hawaii. It's
it's
that tripped me
crazy.
out.
It's
I was not
mountain.
expecting that.
I wasn't either. You've seen pictures, and it's like, oh, and talking with the folks we partner with that hunt there, it's like, okay, it's mountainous. It's there's a lot of different terrain, but until you physically see it, and it's like, wait a minute, they have elevations over 10,000 feet. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they got. I mean, it's big. It's
Yeah.
small circumference rise, but
Right.
it's big.
Yeah, it really is. Russ and I hiked clear to the top of one of those, the big, I can't remember what it's called, the big mountain, the big volcano, the dome volcano,
Yeah, yeah,
hunted mouflon. And that was fun. It was like a DIY thing, couple day hike up there. It was fun. We weren't successful. They were spooky, spooky.
yeah. Mouflon are tough, but you saw. I mean, it wasn't like they weren't there.
No, not at all. Not at all. No.
Hey, were the Mouflon, were they really grouped up, or were they kinda
Yeah. Yeah. When we went, there were bachelor herds of a few rams.
what time of year did y'all go?
I think it was July.
Really? Just about the same? Yeah,
Yeah.
we saw a lot of most of the Rams were bachelored up. There would be a every group had a Ram, but they were juveniles. There'd be a big
Right.
group of
Right.
of ewes, and there'd be a juvenile male in there with them.
Bigger rams were with other rams.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was. Yep.
But, I mean, they covered a lot of
Um,
ground.
I
So
got one opportunity, but boy, we were bow hunting and there was no cover where we were on top of that volcano.
yeah,
It was
that's the other
tough.
surprising thing for me was there were areas where it was almost desert-like.
Yeah.
For me, it reminded me of Arizona, the ground as well. I mean, you're walking on, lava for
Yeah.
the most part, but it's like, southwestern US where it's just crunch, crunch, crunch on rocks.
Yep.
Very similar shrubs. It had that feel, and you go up 500 feet, 1,000 feet, and it's lush green rainforest. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Crazy. Yep. Then you go up above the timberline and
And it's
it's,
nothing.
yeah, there's nothing, just rocks.
Yeah. Hey, did
Weird.
y'all come across any of those lava fields, the big jagged, like it's just nothing but lava, but it's real jagged coming out of the ground?
Hmm.
We saw, I don't know how, I mean, we didn't end up getting, and we get asked this a lot, how's the terrain, how's the footing? And there's that area, there were some areas where it's like, I don't know how you'd hunt it. I mean, it's pitch black. We saw more goats than we did sheep,
You
but
didn't
I don't
hunt
know how
goat?
you get through it.
You
It
didn't
was,
hunt goats?
I didn't know.
Awesome. I had such a blast.
I could see why. I mean, there's just a lot of options, a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of quality
Yeah.
billies, a lot of quality billies. I bet it would be a phenomenal bow hunt.
Yep. Yep. It was. It was. I don't even know how many goats Russ and I shot. I mean, I think I got 4 or 5. He did about the same,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
he shot
it's
about a
it's
ram.
a if you want high opportunity, to add into a vacation,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know if it can be beat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my wife likes to hunt.
Mhm.
She doesn't hunt with us, but she likes to hunt. In fact, last night she was saying, "We need to hunt more." Okay. So anyway, even if she didn't like to hunt, I think that you could still mix a day or two in there because you're up early, you go hunt. She could sleep in, go out for breakfast with, or whatever, and then you show up about noon and you've hunted the morning.
Yeah.
Literally
That's
could do
It's
that.
almost exactly the way my hunt went.
Yeah.
I got her for Mother's Day. I got her a day like a massage, like an hour and a half, because where we were staying had a nice spa type thing set up in. So that morning, she just, milled about, hung out at the resort. It's beautiful weather, and did her spa. Well, by the time she was wrapping that up at 2:30, I had been hunting since 6 and tagged out at maybe 1. By the time we field dressed and did all that jazz, I was back to the resort by 3:30, and we still had the full afternoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's very cool. Yeah, yeah. And like you said, a lot of the trips are built around that. You're there for vacation, and the outfitters know that.
Mhm.
It's morning hunts, and you're back to your wife or whatever doing vacation stuff.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
it. And for, the guys and girls that are listening, if, maybe your trip is to hunt, well, we're talking about it kind of from the vacation aspect. That there are certainly opportunities to make this a full blown, hunt, especially if you want to target multiple species. I mean, you can put 4 or 5 days work in,
yeah,
and the guides will accommodate that. It's Matt was, they're super, well rounded. If it's a group that's like, hey, I want to get out and hunt the morning, a lot of the turkey hunters, they get there, they're, a lot of them are with family, and it's like, okay, I want to go out and, chase birds as they come off the roost, tag out by noon, they're back with the family. But then there's other folks that want to go chase mouflon, which isn't quite, high success rates, but it takes more work, and
right.
that's why those hunts are generally 2-day hunts. So if it's like, oh, I want to, a free range, nice mouflon hunt, and I can do it in, paradise. Well, it's there, and we'll make a full, it'll be a hunt. It's not a vacation. It's a hunt, and you're putting work in. So it kind of
Because
offers.
of what you're looking for sure. Yeah, it's a great place. Great place. When I was there, we were hunting this ranch. So I joke about the barnyard slam.
Mhm.
That that's kind of what we were going for. So we hunted goats, the feral sheep, and the very first morning we're on this ranch. And people will probably judge me harshly for this, but whatever. So we're driving to the ranch, and the guy we were hunting with, he goes, "Oh, by the way, on this ranch there's donkeys."
My goodness.
And I'm like, "Donkeys, really?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "So they spook the goats and stuff, or they, because I've heard they're spooky." And he goes,
Yeah.
"Yeah, they are spooky, but," he goes, "if you get a chance, hunt them, shoot one." I'm
My
like, "Really?"
goodness.
And he goes, "Yeah, if you get a chance, they're super hard to hunt." He went into this thing about how they call them the Kona nightingales, because when they first brought them over for the coffee plantations, that's how the donkeys got there to the island, and they were the only night sounds on the island, because there were no, now there's frogs, but there were no night sounds, no night animals. So the only night sound you heard at night was the donkey's braying. So they
Wow.
Kona nightingales is what they call them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's dark. We pull up. It's like before the first light, and we're kind of sneaking down the road down to where the goats were, where we had seen goats the day before. He had seen goats scouting the day before, and you, it was too dark to shoot yet. He goes, "Oh, there's a donkey," and it was on the road right there. And he goes, "Do you guys want to hunt it?" I go, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And Russ kind of set up where he thought it was going to go, and I circle around, and by that time it's kind of coming first light, and I get to like 60 yards, and he spooked from Russ actually. And then Russ tried to make like a sheep sound to stop him, but he spooked, and he came running over at 60 yards, and he stopped and looked back towards those guys, and I smoked him with my bow. And
Wow.
LCR guide was so excited.
Really?
Can't believe you guys got a donkey with your bow. I can't. Every time we'd go
Just
talk,
unheard of.
he would bring it up, and everybody, it was like I was a celebrity because I got a donkey with my bow.
Wow. I did not get.
Yeah, yeah. I think it has to be on a ranch where there are some, but
Yeah. We, so I mean, I didn't even think to ask. I mean, there was some of the fields you could get up high in glass, and I mean, there was a lot of open terrain down below me at one point, and I did see some donkeys. I even saw some, I don't know if they were wild horses. I mean, this is a big open, it's free range, open ranch, but there were horses out there. Saw some cattle.
yeah, We hunted cattle too. Russ made a couple stops on wild cattle. You didn't
Yeah.
get, they were spooky too. Surprising.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny. So I'm working with a hunter right now on a Vancouver bull hunt, and so I was talking to Matt about it yesterday, and it's I think it's a lot harder. There's not as much opportunity to do it now. I don't know if I think the government's kind of come in and maybe tried to, I don't know if eradicate's the right word, but they've tried to remove a lot of them from the population.
I think so too.
What a lot of people don't realize, Hawaii, there really isn't a natural predator. So I mean, those herds of animals they just blow up, and it creates a lot of havoc. I was asking Matt, I'm like, well, what, there's nothing that eats them here. And he's like, well, the only thing they really have are wild dogs, which I didn't think of. He's like, they have some pretty nasty wild dogs, but unfortunately they really, he's like, the dogs they just kill them. They don't really, it's not like they're feasting on it for the most part. They'll eat some of it, but then they just kill it and move on and kill the next. It's kind of, it's unfortunate. There's not something there to keep the populations in check other than hunters.
Right. Crazy place though. Those cattle and the donkeys, man, if the wind switched and they smelled you, they were gone.
Done.
Sketchy as anything else, really. I never would expect that.
I was a little going out there. I was like, I wonder what's it gonna, how did these sheep compare to what we have, in the lower 48 as far as wild sheep and or the goats even. How do they react when they, are they spooky? Are they really scent driven, or do they have great vision, which I think they're probably like a lot of the deer species here. I mean, they can see about as good as what we have here, but they were spookier than what I thought. I mean, it was not.
Yeah, especially the sheep. They were spookier than the goats. The sheep were.
Yeah, yeah.
The goats were spookier than I expected. Totally spookable.
Yeah. More. Yeah. Agreed. And I think if I go back for rams, which I will at some point, I think I'm going to take my bow, because it's a tough challenge.
Yep.
But doable, especially, it's doable in a day.
Yeah. It's like going to Africa. You're just going to get a ton of good practice.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't stalking practice like that, especially in the West here. You get a couple good stalks a year, you're doing pretty good, and you better cap. But it's really cool to go to Africa or like Hawaii and just get lots of opportunities.
Rep after rep. Yep. I guess exactly what I was thinking when I was there. I'm like, man, you could really hone your skills, on a stalk out there with animals that are pretty spooky. Probably, no, it's not going to be as much so as antelope or deer, elk, but definitely they weren't coming up to you to get fed.
It's not a gimme.
By any means.
Nope, it's not.
So we'll jump to, so I think for our listeners, it'll be important, some of the intricacies of hunting in Hawaii. So if you want me to go over kind of a little bit about how the morning went, and then we'll jump to fishing, because that's not something historically we've done a whole lot of, and we now have an option that I'll just give you a little tidbit. We were hooked up in 15 minutes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty much dark, and we had a Marlin on. We'll get to that.
Okay.
So morning of the hunt, we start. I mean, I think we were at 1,000 feet.
Where did you meet him? Did he meet you in town? You guys just meet up and pick up somewhere, or
they will? Great question. They will if you stay in Kona.
Okay,
be arranged. If you're outside of that, I mean, realize the guides in the hunting world. These guys and girls are up well before hunters are. So, it can't be expected that, especially somewhere like that not only are they going to be up getting prepped for the hunt, but they're going to be able to drive for an hour to get you. And, that's just, we can arrange it, for a fee, but it's not, it can't be the expectation. Whereas in Kona, for the most part, the ranches are 30 minutes, give or take. Yeah. There's a number of ranches or a number of options to hunt. But I met Matt, at the ranch. Fortunately for me, it happened to be 15 minutes from where Katie and I were staying. Yeah, worked out great. So, it was South Dakota. And so we get there, jump on a side-by-side. So we get asked a lot, hey, I've got either physical limitations, or I'm a little bit up there in age, or I'm not somebody that can put miles and miles on the ground. Well, guess what? There are plenty of options in Hawaii. So we started with a side-by-side. Now we had to cover, I don't know, I'd probably say and Matt may slap me in the face, but I think we did probably 6 to 8 miles. We took it up. So we went from 1,000 feet to about 5,500, give or take 6,000 feet in elevation. It got chilly. So, something for people to realize, I was in short sleeves at the bottom. It was man, probably low 70s at that time in the day, maybe 69, 70, somewhere in there. Well, by the time we got to 5,500 feet, Cory's probably mid 50s, maybe 40. It was chilly for a Florida boy. I had long sleeves on.
Yep. Yep.
And so there needs to be that kind of, thought process. You don't have you don't need jackets and coveralls and all of that. But if you're somebody that can get a little chilled, probably need long sleeves and good pants, maybe even a light jacket or, a hoodie, something like that.
I
So
agree.
we take the side by side up, and by the time we get to that higher elevation, it was starting to get a little, light enough that we could start getting off and glass. And we get asked a lot about terrain. So there is a wide variation. We talked about, I talked about that kind of lava flow jagged area that I saw a number of those scattered about the island. Didn't really hunt that. So don't, if somebody has a fear that, man, how treacherous is it going to be? I don't want to be walking across, big moving boulders for 12
I
hours. Okay.
did hunt that.
What's that?
I did hunt that.
Yeah. It
And
was a hard. I mean,
it,
it's probably pretty.
actually, it wasn't that bad. It
Really?
wasn't that crumbly, tough to walk on.
It was that smooth.
Yeah, there was jagged stuff, but most of it was smooth enough that it was just like walking on rocks. The
Okay.
bad was it was really hot. That black rock.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Consideration. So
Mm.
by the end of the day, I was in a t-shirt, and I had one of those nice lightweight merino. I think I had you or something, whatever. It was just a good lightweight t-shirt, and I needed it. I mean, we were sweating.
Yeah.
Morning chilly, afternoon in the sun, especially if you're hunting around lava, it gets hot. So there was, it was a mixture of dense forest to completely open, grazing pasture land, what you would consider pasture. Most of the ground is hard. We didn't really get in areas that were super swampy and muddy, but footing is, having, I would say, something that supports you need ankle support. Tennis shoes and flip flops, because you're in Hawaii, probably are not what you want to wear to to go hunt.
Yeah. Light hunting boots.
Yeah, yeah, something that supports your ankles. I mean, there were a couple of times, I'm rolling over. Shoot, I think Matt and I both fell a time or two. I probably fell more than that, but um, it's hard ground and some of it's uneven, but it's not difficult.
Right.
It might just be different than where you're from. If you're somebody that hunts in the southwest part of the car, actually probably anywhere in the western part of the U.S., it's not going to be anything different than what you're used to. If you're from the east or southeast like myself, yeah, the ground's a little different. So wear shoes that support your ankles. How about that? So we get out and we immediately, I think actually the first animals we saw were goats. And like you were saying, they didn't spook, but they were very curious. They would have spooked if we had moved on them. I
Right.
think they recognized that we were kind of lateral. We were moving, left to right from the way their viewpoint was, and not really approaching them, maybe 80 to 100 yards. They didn't spook, but did not take their eyes off of us the whole time either. And then we started moving into sheep, and I don't know, we crossed maybe what we would do was he knew, hey, there's a big, open, good glassing area coming up. He'd stop the side by side, we'd go up, glass it, and either see something or not, move on. If we saw something and it looked, maybe it was a big group of sheep and you wanted a better look, we'd push toward them. If it was clear that it's a group of ewes, 7 or 8, which most of the groups were from 7, 8, 9, upwards to 20. Initially, that early part of the day, that's about what the groups we were seeing. Initially, we didn't see as many as I think he thought we would. We were doing a lot of movement. We'd see a group here, then we'd go a spot or two, not see anything, drive for a mile, not see anything. Then we'd come up on a small group and it'd be ewes and, one juvenile ram. And it was, we were putting in some work. It was taking time, seeing some beautiful country. I mean, if you can imagine, like you were saying, it reminded you of Idaho. I mean, we're at one point a little over 6,000 feet. And I mean, you're just glassing mountains, but in the background, you see the ocean.
Right. So weird.
It's nuts. And then below you, there'd be, a cloud drifting by. It was just really cool. Great weather. It warmed up. That chilliness kind of as soon as the sun popped over the mountains, great freaking weather, got a little breezy. But we were, just moving from spot to spot to spot. And it was, this probably went on till about 11. And we got up on, we got where we were up high and we could see down in this valley. And there were a number of groups of sheep. And so that gave us, we probably spent 30 minutes glassing those different groups. And the one thing I'm sure you realize with the goats or the sheep out there, there's enough shrubbery and enough change in topography that you might be looking at 5 sheep, but there's 50
Oh, yeah. Yep.
there that
Yeah.
you just can't see most of them. So you really had to, we would just sit there and look at
Go
the same
past
four
them
or
as you
five.
go after the one.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, at the end, and actually I have it on video, but I got a story for the end of the hunt, but that's exactly what happened. So you spent time. I mean, it was fun. You're looking at all these different I mean, they're a beautiful animal too, and you're watching them, and then one would pop up, and you're like, oh my gosh, the next one's going to be one. It's going to be the ram, and then it would be a juvenile ram. You're like, gosh, and so it was just, it just kept your mind going and the excitement building and building. But we spent maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes on that little valley, and rode around, and in between it was a good chance for me to kind of get to know Matt and him to get to know me. We've talked on the phone a number of times, and so that those in between moments for me, I'm not going to say our clients will benefit as much from it. He'll provide some humor and a good time for him, but for me it was good. That bonding was
Yeah,
it was
for
awesome.
sure.
Yeah, which you got, I mean, it, all the hunts you've done with the guys we work with. I mean, it's just great to get to spend time with people that normally you just talk to them.
Absolutely. Yep. Agreed.
So we end up moving from that higher elevation down into more forested areas. And we come across, there's one opening, and man, he locks up side by side. I dang near hit my head on the front. And he's like, oh man, get the gun. There's a good one. He's like, man, this thing's got wingtips floating out there. So the black Hawaiians, a lot of them, when they curl down and then they start to float, he's like, man, this one's like a plane riding through the valley. So I never did see it. I saw a couple ewes, but I never saw the one he was talking about. But we dropped down into this. It was a little bit of a forested area, and then it opened up into a little. Uh, I mean, a little like I wouldn't. It's not. It wasn't pasture. It was grown. It was grass, probably almost waist high. You could barely see the sheep's head above it. But so we dropped in there, and man, I thought we were. I saw a couple rams that weren't. They were pretty good. Not what we wanted to harvest at that moment, but we kept waiting for this big one and this big one. And like I said a minute ago, I mean, it's like all of a sudden there's a sheep here and one there and one here and one there. And they're just coming out of this grass left and right. And we never saw that big one.
Uh,
So yeah. So the whole group kind of dropped over a ridge. So he's like, man, let's bump up there and see what's over that one. And we got up there and looked over and didn't we had spooked them. I don't know if they winded us or someone of them saw us, but I mean, you could just see the whole group of them just scurrying through the woods on the other side. And he's like, man, we're just going to chase with the sheep. He's like, well, because of their size and the way the terrain is, he's like, we'll chase these things for miles trying to find the one. And all we're going to see is 2 here and 3 there. He's like, we just need to back out. This one's pretty much done. So we're walking back, and man, 20 yards from us, I mean, I'm like, Matt, that's a good looking ram. That's the best looking ram we've seen. He's like, man, I think we'll see better. I'm like, man, that's the best looking one we've seen. It's pushing noon. And so this ram just pops up out of we had walked right by him and he didn't bump. And so
Crazy.
coming back by, I don't know if he didn't see us or hear us or smell us, but coming back by, he did. And he's like, bloop, and jumped up on the top. I wish I got a camera shot of it, because the way he was just sitting kind of on top with back, he's backlit. It was a cool
Right
view.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. So we passed on him and got back, and man, I'm like, the feeling, right? It's like, God, I've only got a day and we're halfway through it. I told Kate I thought I'd be back a little earlier, but I'm not there till dark. I'm not there till
Getting a
dark.
massage. She's getting a massage.
Mm-hmm. So we get back, and he's like, man, we're going to push to somewhere that's a little different. He's like, this area has a lot of rams, but he's like, generally the bigger ones, he's like, kind of like the one I just saw. He's like, up here at this higher elevation is where we've been seeing a lot of the bigger ones. So, but I'm like, whatever, man. So we dropped down, and then it opened up into a lot more of that pasture. I mean, it had a lot of features in it, a lot of elevation, not elevation, but a lot of topography and terrain, like change the terrain. and so a lot of good knolls to glass from. Real pretty country. I mean, just big, open, huge expanses of property. And so we end up getting on two rams that were out feeding, and one of them, he curled that way out, but he just didn't drop down very far. So he was definitely a juvenile. He'll be a nice ram one day if he can get kind of come down below his jaw and back up. So we watched them, and that is where I saw some of the donkeys. I'm looking out and I see this movement, and I'm like, oh, that's a monster. And it was a donkey. When I put my glass on, dude. And there were cattle, so there were sheep. We found a couple other rams there, or sheep, but they were ewes, and it was beautiful. So we move on, and then we get to kind of the spot, and we just see a couple rams. I think he saw some bounce over a little ridge top, but it's open grassland with scattered trees in it. And he's like, "Man, let's just push up there and see." So we move up, and we get up on some bedded rams, and there's one in there. He's like, "Man, that's a shooter. That's a good one." And so I see him. I didn't put a whole lot of time looking at him through the glass. I'm like, all right, just verify it's the one he's looking at. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. He's like, man, get the rifle out. He'll get up soon. These other sheep are moving around. A couple of them had seen us and were, they were on alert looking at us. He's like, they're going to bust out. Before I could get the rifle set, everything got up. He's like, I told you. Like, yeah, you did. He's like, man. So there's another ridge they bounced over. And then on the back, you could see it as a little valley. Where they dropped into is just a valley, and it rose back up to a wood line on the backside. So with the way the wind was, we were going to push downwind and come up on them from the other end of the valley. So we drove up, bumped a couple other sheep doing that, a couple small juvenile rams, but it's like, all right, there's definitely a lot of males in this little area. So we start creeping to where we could get over a ridge and look down that valley. And, there's a group of sheep bedded maybe 80 yards, and there was a decent ram in there, but it was like, nah, there's the bigger one. The one that dropped over is definitely bigger, and we don't know what's over there. Let's go see what's over there. We slipped down, and a couple of these sheep that we just passed, they busted us and took off, but a couple didn't. They stayed bedded. And we get up to the ridge and start looking down in this valley, and it's like, wow, there's a little group, there's a little group. And there just wasn't, we couldn't find the big one. Just like, well, let's just move down this ridge line and get a little closer to where those first group had dropped down. And that was going to be the play. And before we could move, man, up pops this big ram. I say big. I mean, for me, it's a quality ram. He's not big. He's not, guys are not going to go to Hawaii to take the ram I took, as their trophy of one in a lifetime, but he was a mature quality ram.
Gotcha.
And it was the biggest one I had seen that day. He pops up right there, and he was in that group that was about 80 yards from us that we had come by. We just never saw him, and he never saw us. And so that was, it was just one of those moments. I'm like, Matt, look. He's like, oh man, that's a good one. Yeah, I'm gonna take him. And so, laid down and boom. And so now going back to what we were talking about before, man, when that boom went off, this whole valley erupted with sheep. Cory, I bet there were 100. I got photos, or I got video. And so I'll do a little, I'm doing, my little stuff for YouTube that I'll push out. There may be one or two on that, but this valley there were sheep everywhere.
Wow.
And we had no clue. We knew there was a pretty good group here and maybe a good group over there. Didn't see anything quality. So we're just sitting there. I mean, we're thrilled. We're sitting by the ram I took, and I look up, and here are three that are probably bigger than the one I'm sitting next to that pop up about 80 yards. And I'm like, man, he's like, see, that's what happens.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from the moment. It was just a fun freaking time. And it was really at that point in the day, I'm like, man, maybe I should have taken that one earlier, or maybe we should have made a different move. All those questions start rolling around in your head. Man, he worked and got us to this area that was loaded. We got a nice, a mature ram. He was older. I think Matt had him at like 28 inches, somewhere in that range. So not, he wasn't 30, but close and mature. And, I was thrilled.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, it was cool. But, yeah, just, those little jokers just stay hidden. But
Right.
man, as soon as that, and then all of a sudden they spooked, but then they kind of settled down. And as long as we weren't moving, we started quartering this thing out. And you look down and it's 400 or 500 yards down into this valley. And I mean, it's just, they're all out feeding now. I mean, big rams here, there, juveniles, ewes, babies. I mean, it's just a massive, massive group of sheep. So, and that wound it up.
So I have a couple questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You quartered it. Were you able to get side by side down to it, or did he pack it out? How did that work?
We packed it out, but it wasn't.
Very far.
No. And I'm one of these weird guys, man. I like
Yeah,
that's
me too.
part of it, man. I like carrying that stuff out. I don't even
But
here at home.
he didn't
I
want to. He would have packed it out for you.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I just honestly, he did take most of the meat, and then I had the head.
Okay.
But it's not, these aren't. It's not even the size of a mule, or actually not even like a whitetail. I mean, you're not. We're not talking. It's a one trip
Yep. Yep.
ordeal.
Second question: what did he do did he provide a lunch? Was there anything like that?
I told him there was no need.
Okay.
Generally, so our Hawaii, we have an option in Molokai that will provide food. But for the most part, the outfitters that we work with in Hawaii, they there are options to include lodging. One of them has an option to include meals, but for the most part, that's not included in the hunt and the pricing.
So
So that would be an
so
add-on.
if you wanted to
Yeah,
pack lunch with you, you just set that up in your room
yeah,
wherever and
so-
with you.
yeah. And I say that, you know what? Actually, now that I take it back, I told him I was bringing my own. I think he had a big cooler.
Yeah.
There's plenty of drinks, He had
I
some
imagine you would
fruit.
have. Just making sure.
Yeah, he had fruit. I think he had some sandwiches, man. And I told him I don't do I try to do the gluten-free stuff, man. Gluten messes me up. Yeah, on these hunts, I pack. I'm very unique in what I'm bringing to eat. So
Yeah.
but I told him that. So now,
Right.
but it was a great question. Now that I think about it, he would have had some food there to eat had I need.
Gotcha. Okay. Did he cape your ram?
Yeah, would have. I'm not doing a shoulder mount. I'm just doing a Euro.
Okay.
So yeah, he took it. He got it over to the taxidermist, and so they're working on that now.
Okay.
So that opportunity is part of it. Certainly, if one of the clients wants to do it, bring it back themselves, then you know
Yeah.
have at it. We'll just the recommendation would be to check it as luggage on your plane, throw it in a cooler, and make sure you got dry ice and whatnot in it, and get it on the plane. 5 pounds or less dry ice, you can check and get it back home and take it to whoever you want.
Right. Okay. Did you see any pigs?
We did. Yep.
It really. I only saw one pig on the Big Island.
Really.
Yeah, I was so surprised.
I'm surprised that it seemed like there are select areas where they hunt them. Like they're just not. I would have thought it would be loaded with pigs,
Me too.
but it's not. Yeah, kind of. It's loaded with sheep and goats.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw maybe 3 groups, definitely 2, maybe a third group of hogs. And the property we were on though would not be considered one that they generally would take our boar hunters to.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that property, or actually there's 2, I think, north of Kona. Because I asked them about the pigs and where they do hunt. Most of that I think is north of Kona, and we were south.
Gotcha.
So yeah, don't take, the boar hunts are high success. It's just the area that I hunted wasn't one of the ranches where they have a lot of them. That's not where they would take the hunters.
Yeah, I guess I take it back. When we did drive around the island in different spots north, we did see pigs there.
Yeah.
But where we were hunting, I only saw one. That was it. So
Yeah.
that really surprised me. I thought they'd be everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you take that terrain and bring it here, it was conducive to pigs.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe hoping they kill them.
What's that?
Maybe since it's so open and you can see them, a lot of the locals.
Yeah. 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 Good meat. Which, by the way, I enjoyed my ram.
Yeah.
We cooked it up that night and grilled it. I enjoyed it. I liked it.
Yeah.
I've never been much on like lamb.
Right.
If I go out to eat, that's not going to be my first pick. It was good.
Awesome. Donkey's good too.
That's funny. Never in a million years would have thought that, but I mean, it's wild,
Yeah.
right? It's a wild animal on that island. There or those islands. I mean, it's unique.
Hmm.
The hunting atmosphere.
Yeah. What else? So
Go ahead.
that was the Big Island.
That was the hunt.
Okay. Okay.
So I get home. Katie's
Yes.
thrilled. She got her massage. I'm thrilled. I had a great hunt.
What time did you
So
get back?
what's that?
What time were you back to Katie?
3 or 3:30, give
Awesome.
or take. Yeah, yeah. So it's still plenty of time in the day.
Yeah.
So the next day was fishing. So we ran down to the store. Got we just grabbed some snacks and fruit and stuff. To take on the boat. So one thing which clients will appreciate. So she loves to fish, but offshore, like offshore waters, they'll get to her.
I'm the same. I get sick too.
In here, and if I want to go offshore here, I mean, you're miles and miles and miles. I mean, to get to anywhere real deep off the coast that I'm near, it's 40 miles.
Wow.
So that's a long way, and that can be big waves.
Yeah.
So she won't generally go, but this trip, for people to know, not every island is this way, but Kona's unique in that it has really deep water, really close. So when I'm talking to Matt, he's like, "Hey, y'all, let's go fish." And I'm like, "Okay, well, just to clarify, how's the water going to be? Because I gotta, I want Kate to have a good time. I don't want her to be sick.
Yeah.
That's not fun."
Yep.
He's like, "Man, it's actually that side of the island doesn't get as much wind. Traditionally, isn't is rough. One, two, you don't have to go that far offshore, so it's not like you can get out in the big rolling waves, that we would have to do here." So he's like, I don't think it's going to be bad. I mean, he's like, anything can happen, but generally not the case. So she got some Dramamine, got that on board, and so we're going out. And it's like we get down to the boat. Everybody, it seems like it's going to be a great morning. It's going to be fun. Whatever. We're going to be on a boat in Hawaii. I mean, unless it sinks, it can't be a bad day.
Yeah. Especially when you're close enough to the island, you have some scenery.
Oh, got some beautiful pictures.
That's awesome.
So we start out, and I mean, these guys were out there, I don't know how long before us, but it was a while before we got there, to the point that boat was on, ready, everything was set, all gear ready to go. Katie and I stepped on the boat, off we go. So we're idling out. It's beautiful scenery. And yeah, Katie and I don't know how. I didn't really ask a lot of questions of Matt, like, hey, how far? Da, 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 da. We go out, and I mean, Cory, we're not a mile offshore. He sets it down, and then they start dropping rigs in the water, and they're putting teasers out and getting everything. These guys are working. I mean, they're hustling. And Katie and I are just sitting there, like, okay, what can we do? Nothing. Y'all just sit
You
here and
guys
enjoy.
on the crew.
What's that?
You guys on the crew?
So one guy had a buddy he brought. There would have been two plus Matt.
Gotcha.
Sometimes there will be Matt and one.
Gotcha.
Just depends on what
Yep.
availability people have.
And how
So
big
we ended up.
was the boat?
What's that?
How big a boat? Was it a little Panga? Was it a
Oh, no. This was and I don't know the brands. It was I think it was 42. It's either 39 or 42. It had the big tower. It was an offshore boat.
boat?
Oh yeah. Had a the ability to get in out of the sun, little cabin. Yep. Restrooms. I mean, it had anything anybody would want. Very comfortable. To answer the question. So they're dropping gear in the water, and we're just sitting there. Hey, I've done some offshore fishing and a little bit of trolling. Been on one Marlin trip, and we caught one fish, one Marlin that whole day on that one. So Katie and I both like, well, let's hang out and just enjoy what it looks like. And fish on, fish on, fish on. And man, things went crazy. So they hook up with this Marlin on the light tackle. So we're not really fighting it from a chair. We're just with a belt. And man, what a fight. And it ended up, I mean, we spent 45 minutes on it, maybe an hour, 45 minutes her and I would trade back and forth. When one person would get wore out, we'd go back and forth. And she did the initial fighting, and she landed it, and she did the most during it. I didn't do a whole lot of fighting with this fish. It was
You
almost
kind of
all
just
her.
indulged her and she
And
more for let her
yeah,
rest. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
she was exhausted, man. But I mean, the grin when you see this marlin come up and go down, I mean, it is just surreal.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and so at one point I'm hearing the fish take line and I'm looking out and you can see Kona and the sun is kind of, I mean, it hadn't even peaked over the horizon when we first hooked up and it's starting to creep up. And I'm like, man, this is just freaking cool. And up comes the fish. And I mean, it was just a moment, I don't think anybody, I don't even think Matt expected, before the sun comes up, we're fighting a marlin.
That's
And so we get it in and it ended up, maybe 250. So, he's not massive, he's not little, he was, and he fought hard
Did you keep
and
it?
beautiful. Nope, released it.
Yep. Okay.
And so, there's just this, hey, the day is made. In the first 15 minutes, the day is made. She caught her marlin in this beautiful area, great group of guys. It was just, wow. We can just sit back and relax. I don't care if we catch another fish the rest of the day. My wife
Right.
caught a marlin.
Yeah.
And so we're going along, everybody's happy. And then they hook up again. And so I jump in the seat and it's a short-billed spearfish. So Hawaii's unique that they have a great population of short-billed spearfish, which are they're highly sought after for your billfish slam. And
Okay.
I don't think they don't populate a lot of areas around the world. So people need to, when you're trying to find areas that you can catch them and catch, have a good opportunity at them, Hawaii should be an option. We hooked up with one and ended up pulling off. You good to go?
I just looked it up because I'd never heard of them.
Yeah.
Look kind of like a sailfish.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a small, yep. But to get that slam, it's on there, right? So people need to, where are you going to go that has a good population of them, a good chance of catching them? Well, hey, this is an opportunity to do it. Not only on, traditional tackle, but on the fly as well. Matt will charter out fly trips for folks that are really hardcore, into fly fish and they want to catch a billfish on a fly. That opportunity's here. We didn't do that, but it's there if you want it.
Got it.
So we hooked up with that and it didn't end up panning out. And then we had a little bit of a lapse. I think I caught a barracuda. So, in their words, the fishing was a little off the day we were there. So maybe we were fortunate that right off the bat
Right.
we caught a marlin. So I don't know. We probably 4 or 5 hours went by. I don't remember when we hooked up with the second one, but there's a point 4 or 5 hours into it, man. It's like everything's chill, everybody's hanging out, having a good time, eating some fruit, staying hydrated and just enjoying the moment. It was a beautiful day. The waters weren't crazy. It wasn't, again, speaking of what I talked about, it was not rough water. Probably didn't even need the Dramamine. Like it was just, we were sitting there a mile and a half off all day. And all of a sudden, fish on, fish on, fish on. And everybody, it goes crazy. And so Katie jumps in the chair and, they give her the rod. And man, this fish was acrobatic. I mean, nonstop. He was all over. So it was just really cool to get to watch. She was having a blast. Fighting him from the chair was much easier. So yeah, I think we landed that one and she had it. And I never even took part in that. I think she landed it in 15, give or take minutes. I mean, it was quick. Matt was doing a great job, with the boat and maneuvering. Yeah. So, everybody just worked in tandem and, 15 minutes or so in, we got it in and tagged. And she's got her second marlin on a trip where we were like, I don't know if we'll catch, we're not marlin fishermen. We want to catch them, but by the end of the day, it's like, holy smokes, my wife caught two.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and beautiful water, and that kind of wrapped the day up. So
Whole day. How long were you on the water?
I think we went in at 3
Okay. So
for
about
trips.
yeah.
What's that?
So about the same amount of time as the hunt the day before.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. Generally, the full day trips, which are what I'd recommend doing, are 9 hours. Matt runs them for 9 hours. So the great thing about Matt, I mean, he just works. He works, and if 9 hours is getting close, but he feels like there's still a good chance to get a fish in the boat, Matt's going to put the work in and get his client a fish, right? So, but in general, We try to just run full day trips, and they're 9 hours.
And to clarify, I know the answer to this question, but both of these days were the same outfitter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So that
Yeah, I
makes
was with Matt both days. Matt was with me on the ram hunt, and then he was the captain on the boat.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was up in the tower the whole time, so I didn't really get a lot of FaceTime with him during the fishing trip, other than yelling "hell yeah" back and forth. But yeah, he was there. He was running the show.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that was it. There are some options for tuna. I don't know how many folks would prefer that over getting to chase marlin, but it is there. And if, there's some edible fish that get boated, they'll help you out with getting that packaged up.
Okay. And for tuna, you have to go out further, don't you? I've never fished
No,
it.
they were catching them right there where we were.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Just
we were in Cory. I think and again, he may slap me in the face next time I see him. I think we were in 2,000 feet, 1,500, 2,000 feet, I think is, yeah. I mean, right there, there's a massive ledge, maybe a mile off. Guys that are listening, guys and girls that are listening and know that area, I mean, there's a big ledge that runs parallel to the coastline right outside the harbor.
okay.
And
Great.
that's where
That's a
they're
lot.
back and forth.
Go trip.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
It's the same thing. You're a mile offshore slaying sailfish, and every once in a while marlin, but yeah, it sounds way similar. Other than the boats are just pangas, little tiny
Yeah.
boats.
Yeah. Y'all, that's a pretty calm water on that
Yes.
area where you were.
Yep. But it sounds kind of like the same sort of trip.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah,
And then
man.
you
So,
guys, you finished up on the Big Island, then you went to Maui, and you didn't hunt on Maui.
did not hunt on Maui. So we left Kona the day after the fishing trip. We bounced to Hilo, which is the other side of the Big Island, and we did the vault. Then it became, now it's vacation time, and
Did the
we
volcano?
wanted to. Yeah, we
Was it
wanted.
blowing up? Was it doing anything?
Dude, we knew we were close, and she wanted to see this thing erupt so bad. And it was the next day was our anniversaries. We got married on the 22nd. So the next day was the 22nd. We're driving to Hilo. We stop and see some really cool beaches and scenery. And it's like, okay, we get to Hilo and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're in a restaurant and she checks to see if this thing, because we're now 45 minutes from Volcanoes National Park. Our goal was to go the next day. And so she's checked at 1 o'clock. And it hadn't erupted. So it's like, oh, we are going to see this thing explode. And we go to sleep. And we wake up the next morning, and I'm up before her, and I check. It started erupting at 2 o'clock. We should have checked again. And she was so beside herself because she's like, on our anniversary, and it erupted into the night. So you'd have been like,
You would have seen the glow, and well, yeah.
yeah. She's like, on our anniversary, we could have, and they have a cool restaurant that overlooks the crater. We could have sat and had our anniversary dinner overlooking a freaking volcano erupt, and we missed it. Such is life. Yeah, still.
It is. You went to an active volcano. It's still cool.
Yeah, we saw the lava.
Nice. Like, it was okay, but man, it's an active volcano. Where else? How many places are you going to see that?
Exactly. So I told her, I'm like, really going over there. She's like, what's the one thing you want to see? I'm like, I want to see lava. I don't know why. I just want to see lava.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
So I got to see some lava.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you guys continue and drive around back to Kona, keep going past, or did you go back?
Yeah, we went. So again, probably worthwhile to tell folks, if you go to Volcanoes National Park, there is, I guess, there's a road that goes around the east rim that kind of ends. It stops where you can look into the crater and you can kind of see the part that actively erupts now. Actually, it's erupting today. You can see that, or you can bounce back around. There's a place where you can hike through an old crater, which is really cool. We did that. And that road, if you stay on, it's called the road, Endless Crater, or I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, there's a road. It's like Road of Endless Craters or something to that effect. If you go to the end of it, it ends up at the beach. over cliff. You end up at the beach. I mean, you're at the top of some cliffs overlooking the ocean, but it was beautiful. And initially we weren't going to take. It's like I don't need to drive down this road for 15 miles because you can't go fast, so it takes a while just to keep seeing old craters. Like I've seen a real an active one.
Right, yeah.
She's like, well, let's just go see. And we ended up on it was beautiful. And you could see when you looked up, I think you dropped from 5,000 feet down to the ocean. You drop down quick. So when you look back up, you see the old lava flows where they had, flowed over however many years ago. So it was really cool. Anyway, that's for, folks listening, if you're over there and you hit Volcanoes National
Well,
Park,
you
take
should do
that
that.
road.
If you're on the Big Island, you should go do that.
Yeah. Very
I
cool. To
Yeah.
answer your question, we were going to take the south end, the loop back the next day on our way to the airport, and we got a little pressed for time. So we didn't end up taking that road down on the south end. We cut straight across, which was honestly a beautiful drive. It was probably more beautiful than the north drive. It was very rural. You're driving right through the middle of the island, just looking at mountains and open. I mean, the scenery was great. Saw a bunch of goats, sheep. It was cool.
That the road that goes through that it's like a military base or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. That is a cool road.
So from there we jumped to Maui, and Maui, we stayed at a resort. We were in more of the traditional areas, and I'm probably going to say the name wrong, and shame on me, but Lahana, they had their fires a couple years ago. So, that was a pretty tragic incident that happened. And I think there was some concern from folks, and that Katie and I, really it didn't sway us one way or the other, but just hearing people talk, there was concern, not concern, but just questions like, hey, is the area back up? Are there things to do? Yeah, there's plenty.
Was there? Good.
Yeah. Yeah. They're rebuilding the city. In fact, I think if you drove through now and you had no clue that had happened, they've done a really good job at I'm assuming. I don't live there, so people that live there, please don't. I
Right.
mean no disrespect, but it looks like there has been a lot of progress in this amount of time. That from what happened, I think I would have expected it to be taking longer. So kudos to the folks that are there doing that work. We went a little farther north and stayed. The resort we were at was just a little farther north, and beautiful area, a lot to do, great for families. Like I said, we did a snorkel trip on day 2 and had so much, I mean, crystal clear water. I mean, we're snorkeling in 30, 40 feet, and it's crystal clear all the way to the bottom. Saw one shark, a bazillion turtles, octopus, a reef. We had the snorkel, the trip, the most of it was over a reef. So the boat we took, did that, and then they fed you midway through. They took you to a second spot. We had so much fun. We did it the second day. And that kind of rounded the trip out, man. It was just,
Sounds like it was great.
it was, man. It was epic. I mean, there was not a single thing where we were like, it's kind of a letdown. It was, again, if folks, if you're planning a vacation already to Hawaii, talk with us about some hunting and fishing options, or just, hey, if you need, hey, well, Charlie, what'd you do? It sounded like it was fun. Well, we can talk about that. If you want
Right.
to hunt and fish, let's talk about that too.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to hunt axis deer, we have a ton of people that want to hunt axis. That is awesome, by the way. Highly recommended. Super. Well, we have those options too.
That's what I hope to have in store for the spring. So while I was there, the group that I was hunting with, they said, hey, why don't you come back and we'll get out on some axis. And so that will be on Maui. And
Yeah.
I think while I'm there, I'll probably jump over to Molokai and and experience, what those guys and girls had to offer. Because I haven't seen anything yet. The 3 islands I went to, I didn't see anything disappointed me. I can't imagine, from what people say about the Molokai and even, Lanai. I'm not saying it right. It should be Lanai, I think.
Lucky, something.
It's gorgeous. It's just, it's just pure nature. Yep.
Man, people are probably gonna hate on me a little bit, but it's not what you would consider beautiful
Really?
where we were hunting.
Okay.
It wasn't super pretty, but it was
Loaded.
amazingly fun.
Yeah,
There
loaded.
and kind of the problem is there's too many axis deer because it's eaten down to nothing. It's almost like a wasteland of just dirt because the axis deer just they need to kill a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But if you get over on the eastern side of the island, it's beautiful. It's awesome. It's amazing. But we were hunting I guess it'd be the west side. And I think, but anyway, the hunting was so amazing. They were everywhere.
Yeah. And that's all I hear. The
Yeah.
guy's like, "Yeah, we'll go out. We're going to hunt axis. It's going to be a great trip." And the response is, "Yeah, that was a great trip." Did y'all see any black buck?
No, I didn't
No.
see it. No.
So
I saw
there,
some trees. I don't think I saw any pig. Russ shot a pig, the only pig we saw, and then I shot a couple. We were both bow hunting. I shot a couple axis deer. He shot one. That was it. We didn't see anything. I'm trying to think. That's all we saw was turkeys and axis deer for wildlife.
so I talked with our partner, one of their partners there on Molokai yesterday. This year, they were 100% on their black buck hunts. Well, take that back. Minus one guy. uh, Unless I misunderstood, well, I know one part I didn't, but I think he passed on some black buck. And before he could harvest, they ended up, he did the combo. They ended up getting on a beautiful axis buck and they went that route. And that's why he didn't end up taking a black buck.
Well, his opportunity was there, but
That was the way I interpreted what he said. But even if the opportunity wasn't there, the decision was made. This axis takes priority. We are going after him. But I'm pretty sure that before that there was a pass on the black buck.
nice.
Regardless, everybody else harvested. I mean,
Yeah.
they're pushing nearly 100% this year on the black buck.
But
Black buck, I don't think the whole island has them there because our other
I don't
have them.
think they were where we were. I don't think so.
Yeah,
So
well, apparently,
in Argentina though this spring, and they're very cool. Very cool.
yeah, I think the guys I had down there, they took that big stag day one, and then he followed it up day two with a pretty solid black buck.
Is that the one that went out on the newsletter yesterday?
For Argentina,
No, no, no. You were talking about
but yeah,
Argentina.
the newsletter yesterday, Hawaii, yeah, the Axis black buck, yeah, it's that
That was
one.
your guy?
Yeah,
Cool. Awesome.
yeah, yeah. They had a great year on black buck. They always have good years on Axis. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
tough. Have fun axis hunting.
well, hopefully I can have a story, here
They are
in
so
April, May.
spooky. They're so incredibly spooky. My first experience with them, I'm up in this tree, and right at shooting light, I hear them clicking. They make a clicking sound and they're walking, and it's just loud, 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 loud. And all of a sudden, here it comes, and it's like a river of axis deer. It's just a river of them,
That's
and I'm
awesome.
in the tree, and it's like they're just flowing around me, and they're mostly does and little bucks and spikes and stuff. And so I'm sitting there, and here comes a pretty good buck, and it's loud. It's super loud. Them walking and eating, and the clicking and grunting and all the sounds they're making. And so I'm up there. I'm not super high in the tree, but probably I don't know, 12 feet maybe. And they're walking all around me. And here comes this buck. And I just take a breath. I go, just like that. I don't even know if you heard me. It's just this quiet breath just to kind of get ready. And they explode. And I'm like, holy shit, these things are impossible. I've never,
Gone.
but finally, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that spooked them. Maybe it wasn't that and they smelled me or something. I don't know. But it was crazy.
They're just they're good at staying alive.
They sure are. Yeah.
And that's surprising being they don't have a natural predator.
I know. Just imagine
It's
how they are
but
in India.
everywhere. That's what everybody says. Everywhere they've hunted them, is their senses are keen.
Yes. I can't imagine what it'd be like hunting them in India where tigers are hunting them. I bet
Yeah,
it's
true.
insane, but very cool animals. I didn't appreciate them fully until I owned them. And by the third day of hunting those things and just getting whooped
Yeah,
time and time again, despite there being deer everywhere, you have a whole new respect for those things.
right on, man. That's exciting. I'm pumped to get. Hopefully, I can make it happen.
Yeah. It's awesome. That's cool. Well, what else? Do we
Think
have
that, I
any?
mean, that, that pretty much winds up. I mean, I could go on all. I mean, I was impressed with Hawaii. I could keep going on Hawaii, but I think as far as the, the hunt and what we would be able to offer clients, certainly, if there's additional questions on, hey, what else, or there is there to do, well, we can answer that on call us,
Yeah,
or
for sure.
we can answer those questions. But there's a ton. But yeah, I mean, as far as my hunt, my experience there, and desire to go back, I think that we hit it, man. I can't wait.
Okay. Awesome. Sounds like it was fun.
Yeah,
Congrats.
brother. Thanks,
Okay.
man.
We'll do it again. We'll talk about kind of your story and then where you need to do your bear hunt, your spring bear hunt in Idaho this spring.
Yeah, man. Yep, we'll get on that. And hey, we'll have Scotland and Ireland stuff here in about 2 weeks.
That's right.
I think I leave the 17th, so I leave in what's the day? Yeah, shoot, I'm 2 weeks out.
Nice.
Well, yeah, that's yeah. We'll have to do a segment on Ireland and a separate one on Scotland. I'm seeing so I've got clients there now. I'm seeing they had some big stag in front of them yesterday in Scotland.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. Things are looking good.
Okay.
Good.
Good. I can't wait to
All
hear
right,
about
bud.
it. All right. Thanks, sir. I'm going to
Yeah.
get,
See you, bud.
see ya.